overwhelming number of Christian Zionists. You just mean Jew. Which regime do you like? The People's Republic of China, led by the General Secretary Xi Jinping. The Communist Party of China. Cap? Yeah.
They running Syria right now, and you're for that. Why is that?
What do you mean? I didn't say I'm for that.
You don't seem to have a problem with it.
I didn't
that
say
ISIS
that.
is now running Syria. You're like, we'll see.
No, I did.
Look, I mean, I know.
Speaks at a frequency where, and at a tune where he can so perfectly craft a narrative with plausible deniability that is inherently white supremacist, incredibly white supremacist, but with like just the right tweaking of the words. I used to do compilations of like Tucker Carlson side by side with like Jared Taylor and all these other like prominent white nationalists, and he just channels their worldview so perfectly in a way that is palatable. It's terrifying. And he was endlessly successful.
Reasonable. And I know you've been like, you're like ready to call me all these names for asking. You're just.
So is what he's saying here true since you're not saying anything about it? Yes. He is. He is. The way I described it is like it's two racist white nationalists arguing with one another. They're both Christian fascists as well, but one is anti-Israel and one is pro-Israel. And the anti-Israel position is the correct one here. So Tucker Carlson is arguing not on the same boundaries that I would argue, because like I would talk about the human toll, civilian casualties. He doesn't care about that. But because the situation with Israel is so untenable, it's so indefensible, that he can argue even from like this weird concocted isolationist white nationalist perspective and still come across as the correct position.
Just asking questions. Yes, I am. So here's my question to you. If the Ayatollah is killed in Iran, and he very well
could if there's a war.
I have just read in the paper this morning that Israel tried to take him out twice, and Trump told them not to.
Would you consider Tucker an isolationist? Not even. He's just. I don't even think he is. I'm sure these guys are never actually like anti-war, right?
Why?
But by the way, I didn't push Assad out. Assad toppled.
It's hilarious.
You know why I don't
Assad
care?
is bad, but no, ISIS runs Syria. But look, I know it's reason.
It was funny when he said facts change over time, for the record. No, they didn't. Facts didn't change. Your career ambitions did. I get why so many people watch Tucker on Fox. Yes, he is an incredibly, incredibly successful propagandist. I used to rip my fucking hair out every night. I would never say that they're anti-war, for example. I wouldn't even say he's isolationist, because most of these guys will do this indecent thing, like Marjorie Taylor Greene does this, where they'll say, this is not a war worth waging, right? If you're a leftist, you believe no war but class war. If you're anti-war, if you're anti-imperialism, that's what you believe, okay? These guys will say, this is not a war that is worthwhile. The hidden implication there is that there are wars, oftentimes imperial ambitions, imperial conquest, that is worthwhile. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, for example, will say, why are we doing all this in the Middle East? Well, why are we giving so much money to Ukraine? We should stop funding Ukraine. Why? Because we should redirect all of our resources to Mexico. For Tucker Carlson, I suspect the war worth waging is with China. Okay? At the domestic front, the war worth waging for Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene and people like that are with first internally against socialists, radicals, right? People who don't mind that America is a diverse nation. And ultimately, the international war that needs to be waged is against China. Now, of course, ironically enough, I believe that Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, and the Democratic Party are aligned with Tucker Cruz on the notion that the real war that must be waged is against China. I think that they just have different methods of how to wage said war. Did I say Tucker Cruz? Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson. Okay, guys, I'm on almost 9 hours here. Okay, calm down. Calm down, everybody. Yes, I said the wrong name. Haha, I mixed their names. Calm down.
Read that. I don't have independent confirmation one way or the other.
Do you think that they should take him out?
So I actually talked about it. As you know, I do a podcast every week, Verdict with Ted Cruz, and I actually talked about it in the latest podcast. And I said, look, I've seen the reporting that says that Trump asked them not to take out the Ayatollah. And what I said in the podcast is I think it's reasonable for them to decide not to try to take him out. What they've done is targeted just about the entire.
Bro, I put my head down for like 20 seconds and there's still motherfuckers spamming Tucker Cruz in the chat. That's crazy. Y'all are so one note. That's crazy. There are still people spamming Tucker Cruz in the chat. What is happening? Also, yeah, you guys noticed that plug. Tucker Cruz did a plug on the Ted Carlson show.
Top level of the military, the people that actually conduct the war. I can see an argument that taking out both the head of state and a religious leader could make him a martyr and could cause more problems than it's worth. And by the way, if you take out the Ayatollah, I don't know if the next guy isn't just as bad. And so I am.
What happens to the country?
I don't know, but you mentioned before, and I want to go back to this. You said something like,
oh my God, this is an interesting moment where oh my God, I almost said Ted Carlson again. Tucker Carlson almost by accident mentioned what happens to the country, as in for a brief moment, we almost got them to think about the civilian death toll. Just for a moment, 1 hour and 26 minutes. And this was about to be the first time that they talk about the population of Iran or any of these countries that America is like bombing or facilitating the death and destruction of. Almost. We got this close and they're moving on.
You, like most other politicians, but words matter. You said the real goal here is regime change, and it's your goal. And I want to be clear.
Well, you said it was your goal.
I want to be clear because words matter. Do I support regime change and would I like a government that doesn't hate America and isn't trying to kill us in Iran? Yes, that's a good outcome. Is that the objective of these military strikes? I don't think necessarily. I don't know if it's Israel's. It's not my objective. My objective is taking out the
U.S. If Israel decides we're going to decapitate the government and try to foment an uprising against it, should the United States participate in that operation in any way?
Look, I have not called for killing the Ayatollah. And
pussy. He can't say he would stand in opposition to Israel. He can't. He can't say that. God forbid.
There is nations in war.
Tucker should ask him, is there anything that you disagree with the Israeli government on? Has the Israeli government done anything so far that you disagree with? Has there ever been a thing that you've disagreed with the Israeli government on throughout the history of Israel? Do you think there are things that the Israeli government can do in the future that you would disagree with vehemently, so much so that you would actually come out and say, this is a bridge too far?
Government of Iran.
Okay, that's interesting because
I think that's insane, for the record. Like, what do you mean? You would be in support of military action against the fucking head of state of Iran is a psychotic thing as well.
Because There is
You
literally...
can't kill our president.
All right, out of 535 members of Congress, I am not aware of one who disputes that Iran is trying to murder Donald J. Trump. That's not even the looniest Democrat doesn't dispute that. So I don't... You're saying if you believed what is, I think, a fact that they are trying to...
You think it's a fact?
Yes.
What is the fact?
How are you still covering this? Brother, how many times do you get to see a porky little succulent pig right up on the barbecue getting toasty? Like how many instances do you think we get to watch Ted Cruz get fucked on camera, but in a way that is actually pleasing to the eyes? Are you kidding me? I'm gonna fucking savor this because Ted Cruz right here, from my perspective, is also a representative of all politicians that agree with him. Because he is not just speaking for Ted Cruz here. He's speaking for virtually every Republican, with the exception of Thomas Massey, and like 80% of the Democratic Party. This is like sitting there watching the fucking Jacobins guillotine, I don't know, royal family members, okay, in the fucking city hall. Like, I assume that there was a lot of satisfaction that was derived from that. Let us fucking appreciate this moment because Ted Cruz is a representative for all politicians here who, with regular frequency, avoid this kind of conversation. This never happens. The only reason why this happened is because Ted Cruz thought he was going into a non-hostile territory.
Exactly.
That they've hired Tucker, you took offense to the word isolationist, and I genuinely don't mean it as a pejorative. I disagree with it. But if you don't like that term, I don't know how else to describe what is a coherent foreign policy that says we're surrounded by two giant nations. By the way, isolationism has long been a school of foreign policy. I believe in
self-defense. I'm not but not into the slurs, the anti-Semite stuff. I just don't like that. I'm telling you what I believe.
But is there a single military action Trump took that you agree with? So did you agree with taking out General Soleimani?
Soy right, by the way. Calling isolationism as a slur is soy right. It's like saying, oh man, tanky is a slur. If anyone were to pull that shit in my chat, I would laugh at them. I would make fun of them. You'd be the dumbest person of all time. No, it's just like a catch-all term. It's a pejorative. It's a way to deflect from the points that you're making by signaling all of the things that your opposition is making up about you that you supposedly believe.
Oh, I don't know. It turned out better than I thought, I guess.
I mean, you said at the time it would lead us to World War III.
I was worried about it. I've seen that.
Well, but that proved not the case.
I was wrong, as I have been many times.
Did you agree with taking out the ISIS caliphate?
Well, if we took out the ISIS caliphate, why are they?
No, Mark Levin brought it back. Mark Levin was should have saying neocon is a pejorative for Jewish the other day. No way. That's old school, dude. That's like Bush era. That's Bush era conservatism. Oh my God, we're back in teacot days, baby. That's awesome. Yeah, claiming neocon is a slur, is a way to say Jew and is like a slur is so funny. Because like the overwhelming amount of neocons are Christian nationalists. That's awesome. Yeah. Nowadays people just talk about fucking Zionist as a substitute term for Jew. Zionist. If you say Zionist, you mean Jew. Please don't look at the.
Sure. Like if.
Oh fuck.
So
we were like.
necessarily. I don't know if it's
We're going to states.
killing the Ayatollah. And there is
Cinema. That's it. I mean, it's in this day and age, I don't think this tanks people's candidacy ever. Like, I don't think this will hurt the support that Ted Cruz receives. But it's such a fantastic gotcha to showcase the absolute depravity of American politicians that basically talk about death and destruction over there without even knowing basic facts about the people whose death sentence that they're signing off on. This isn't to make it so that, like, if Ted Cruz knew off the top of his dome, what the number of people are in Iran. But the very fact that he doesn't know makes it all that more damning. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be on board with Ted Cruz saying that that he'd be on board with like regime change or bombing Iran, bombing the Iranian nuclear sites with American weapons if he knew the exact number or the ethnic demographic breakdown of Iran. But the fact that he doesn't know makes us so. The answer here is a lot of people would want us dead. Do you think we should do targeted first strikes on a nation of 92 million people as punishment? Like Nazis want me dead. I wouldn't advocate to kill them and their families. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, I do the opposite. I advocate for them to have health care regardless.
having a nuclear weapon. That's not peace.
One model for the action that Trump's allies have discussed privately in recent weeks is his 2020 decision to assassinate the top Iranian commander Qasem Soleimani. The strike, while still a serious escalation that drew reprisals from Iran, did not cause all-out war, they argue. Oh, my Lord. Oh, they're just looking for justifications. A key voice in Trump's ear has been General Michael Kurilla, commander of the U.S. Central Command. He's a real freak. In recent weeks, some U.S. military leaders, including Kurilla, have requested more resources to defend and support Israel as it continues to trade fire with Iran. Oh. Yeah, they're looking for ways to sell it. He had better information about what Israel was up to than anyone else in our government. Eric Kurilla, a U.S. general close to Israel who helped craft his post-October 7 wars, is wielding major influence on Trump's decision-making over a U.S. war with Iran. Some say Kurilla is extremely close to Israel, even by the standards of other U.S. officials, and is empowered, emboldened. As Hexeth is dominated by scandal, Trump fires diplomats and fealty drives others. He described Israel's tactics as a model and is seen as focused on his legacy ahead of his looming retirement. Many U.S. officials under Biden and Trump have bought the narrative pushed by Bibi and U.S. hawks that they can be seen as historic successes for bolstering Israel in the region. It's also a way to distract from the human and strategic toll of their policies. Kurilla is hawkish but reasonable, per former U.S. official. He has previously told Israel Trump did not want to hit Iran. His outsized influence and clear viewpoint raised questions about civil-military balance. However, particularly given Trump's worship over the military, with admin dynamics suggesting Trump will join Israel in striking Iran, Congress is seeking to exert pressure. Ro-Khanna predicted big support from D's, even R's. Challenging hawks remains an uphill battle in D.C., however, and will entail a reckoning for both parties. Oh, brother.
That was directed at you.
Man, you got me. Busted.
No, I'm just saying.
Look, my views, look, I like Trump. I campaigned for Trump. I know Trump. I talked to him last night. I'm not against Trump, and you know that.
But you're against this foreign policy.
I think that we should be very careful about entering into more foreign wars that don't help us when our country is dying.